Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be interviewing Kritika Modi, also one of my really good friends from Amity, who is currently pursuing her MSc Clinical Psychology from Christ University. Hi Kritika.
Hi, Mansi.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so as Mansi already introduced, but my name is Kritika Modi, and I did my bachelor's in clinical psychology from Amity University, Mumbai, and now I'm pursuing my master's in clinical psychology from Christ, Bangalore, and currently I'm in my final year.
Congratulations. Almost there.
Can't wait.
So, we have heard a lot of things about how people want to try to go to the central campus for clinical psychology. So do you have an idea about do different campuses have different way of teaching, or is one better than the other? How does that work?
Okay, yeah. So actually, before even I joined Christ, even I had this in my head that, Central Campus is the main, which of course it is because it is the main campus. But when it comes to like administration or course in general, there is not much of a difference because we all follow the same course syllabus. All the campuses. Talking about masters, it's present in only two campuses. In Bangalore, which is the Yashwantpur campus, and the Delhi Circle campus, which I am in. So we all have the same course structure. We have the same assignments. We have the same tests. We have the same content for the test, and the dates on which these tests or assignments have to be submitted are also on the same dates. It's technically very uniform. I know this because one of our friend is studying in the Yashwantpur campus, and every time we discuss about this, we realize, oh, we have the same submission on the same day, and it's the same assignment. So it's all very uniform that way. We have the same holidays. Just the course faculties differ, but apart from that, there is literally no difference. Yeah.
That's nice. So why did you primarily choose ki Christ mein hi karna hai?
Number one reason I heard from a lot of people who, like my seniors or friends, that it is a pretty good option based on their experience. Apart from that, I have been brought up in Bangalore, and Christ has been close to my house. So I have always seen my schoolmates or my friends from here and there joining Christ for bachelors, and they also gave a pretty good picture about how Christ is. So I'm just like, okay, I'm getting good feedback from here and there. And apart from that, the another good reason which was for me was it was very close to my house. That this also gives me a chance to be closer to my family and pursue my masters because I knew masters was going to be hard, and uh, I even manage living alone and doing masters. It's a better option to like stay with family and stuff. So this was my main reason, few reasons to choose Christ.
Hmm. So, you are staying at home. So, what are the other options for students who come from, let's say, another state or city? How does that work out?
Right. So, honestly speaking, in my class, I'm like one of five who are just coming from home out of a class of like 60 to 70.
Uh-huh.
95% of the class comes from outside from different states and cities, and they're living like in a PG, hostel, or flat. These are like the three places they are staying at. Most of them start with like a PG or a hostel in the first year, and then they learn more about the city and everything. And by the next semester or probably the next year, they start shifting to like flats. They also make friends, and they move in flats and stuff. And the PGs and hostels, most of them are like pretty close to college. So it literally takes like 5 minutes from them, and that's when I realized, oh, I'm spending so much time in traveling.
So, it is like a pretty studently environment, khana, pina, sab kuch.
Absolutely.
So that is nice. So, does Christ provide its own hostels as well? I don't think I.
Yes. Christ does have a hostel which is separate for both girls and boys, and it's pretty much in the campus. But as the campus is located like in the main city, there's not a lot of space in the campus as such to accommodate a lot of students. So there's not much, and it's like first come, first serve basis, and most of it gets filled very soon. But yeah, it does have in campus hostel as well. But at least I think in masters, people choose to stay outside campus, it's majorly because of the rules and regulations of the hostel. And also, it's easier to explore the city when you're not living in campus because of the curfew times and everything.
Ah,
So, at least most of my classmates haven't chosen hostel. It's like very few who have. But yeah, there is in-house campus, hostel, sorry.
and what's like the food on campus? I've heard a lot of mixed reviews of Christ and its canteens.
Right. So Christ does have a lot of food outlets. They're like different brands which have like set up their outlets in Christ, and it's very interesting that each Christ campus, there are like four campuses in Bangalore, and each of them have the same outlets, the same brand being there in each outlet. So there's something called as Mingos. Now that's there in all the four campuses of Christ. So and the menu remains the same all over all the campuses of Christ. So that's very interesting. But apart from that, it's majorly, as much as if I have observed, there's nothing you can have for lunch as such. Like back in Amity, there was this canteen, there was this one canteen we all used to go to, and you could get food from like basic snacks to like full meals, which you could do at lunch and like completely be full. But in Christ, I have noticed there are there are very less options when you want to do full meals. It's more of like snacks or fast food, and there's more preference to the South Indian cuisine and menu, because of which some of the people who come from the North India find it hard to adjust to, because they are looking for more of roti and all of that, whereas there's more rice items available like biryani or fried rice, and they get bored of it pretty quickly. So the only problem is there's less availability of full meals,
Mhm.
but fast food and all is like pretty good, and it's there's a lot of variety to that. So like post college, if you want to like munch on something, there are a lot of options for that. But lunch at one point you're just like, oh, what do I eat?
Roti, sabzi, dal, chawal.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the best, but that option is absolutely not there, or it's just there in one or two places.
Mhm.
And yeah.
But I like the weird uniformity कि हर campus पे same outlet है.
It
Wow.
is, which is so weird. Yeah, like some of my friends or classmates have done their bachelor's in like other campuses of Christ, and when they come to this campus, they're like, "Sab kuch same hai." Khana, the outlets, the menu of the outlets is also pretty much uniform. So they're just like, "Wow."
Wow, yeah. I like that. So far, how is your experience going on in Christ? Like an overview.
Okay, so it pretty much met my expectations, I would say, in terms of teaching as well as in terms of the intensity of the course as such. I did have an idea it's going to be tough, and it definitely was. Like, it was a big cultural shift for me, I would say, from Amity to Christ, where here I had to start working from day one, and I'm still working. It's like I cannot think of a weekend going free without me doing anything. But experience, there is so much to learn here. Like there's like every faculty has a doctorate level of experience they have done, and they have like over 50 publications as such, and all of them have so much to offer. At that one point you're just like, I do not have any more space to like take up those opportunities. There are like clubs, there are like constant workshops being conducted. The classes are almost like 9 to 4 every day, so it's you at one point you find it hard to balance, which I also faced in the very beginning.
Mhm.
And since I was also a day scholar, I used to like travel back and forth, which used to take up more of my time. But then slowly I got used to the schedule, and from this year, that is the second year, my timings have also changed. It's become the classes have been shift a lot early. It's become 7:30 to 12:45. So now I actually wake up at 6 o'clock just to attend classes, which is it is very hard for me because the sudden sleep schedule change and all of that, it's like really hard to adjust. But this was done majorly because our campus is pretty small, and the amount of courses and students that come into the campus, it's very hard for to balance the lunch break timings and all of that. So they made all the masters classes to start early and end early so that it does not clash with the bachelor's classes and all of that. But yeah, that made it harder for me to balance. And second year, of course, became more harder than the first year. So I felt like I was able to balance my schedule better in the first year compared to now, but there's just like few months to go, so I'm just going to go with the flow.
Let's go. You got this.
Yes, can't wait.
So, what are you planning to do ahead? Like, is there some sort of a placement or preparation for MPhil? How is that going?
Right. In so actually currently I am pretty confused, I would say. In my first year of masters, I did, every psychology student probably has this kind of like a blueprint that okay, bachelor's, masters, and if they have interest in like towards clinical psychology, you pursue further studies like MPhil, PhD, whatever. And if not, go for a job. So in my first year also I had that thing in my head, yeah, I have to prepare for MPhil by my second year of masters. But then with the amount of workload coming in my way, I'm just like, I feel a little burnt out to actually take up further education in my life, or do I want to break as of now? So now at the moment, I am very confused. I do not have a clear picture of whether I want to pursue an MPhil or whether I want to pursue a PhD or I want to take a break from studying by working somewhere and get more experience, all of that. So it's a little confusing. But coming to what Christ has to offer when it comes to MPhil preparation or the UGC NET exam preparation, the course syllabus and the subjects which it offers during the entire 2 years is almost 80 to 90% close to that of MPhil or UGC NET syllabus. Both of them are like very similar, MPhil and UGC NET syllabus, and Christ is like almost at par with the syllabus. So, sometimes when I gave my UGC NET exam a few days back, I hadn't really prepared for it, but I could answer most of the questions. It's because I studied these things like pretty recently in Christ. So it was more like Christ does, I think, plan its subjects according to what students, to help students with their further education. So that's one point which I genuinely like, because I can, actually prepare along. I can actually prepare for my course exams along with my competitive exams. That makes it easier actually for me.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Does Christ also have like a placement cell for like master students?
Yeah, Christ does have a placement cell, and very interestingly, this time I chose to become the placement representative for my class. So it does have a placement cell. But as for speaking for my course specifically, which is clinical psychology, there aren't a lot of placements coming which is directed specifically to that course, or the offers which are coming, they're specifically not looking for, clinical psychology master students or anything. It's just basic general psychology for that matter, or sometimes MA psychology, not even MSc. So the specifications are not very catered to what we are doing. So it's open to all psychology students, and the expectations of the salary or all of those things are not really matching with what the students are looking for, and there are not a lot of options which are even coming from for psychology students who are not from the HR course. So it's most of the job opportunities are coming for there's a course in Christ called HRDM, which is for the organizational psych. Most of the job offers are for them. So there are very few which are left for the ones who are not doing that course, or yeah, so that gap is definitely there. But yes, there's a placement cell, and all of us have registered to that to look like constant job offers and all of that.
So what is like the average placement a student can expect after his master's at Christ?
An average, as much as they're like, it just began actually like a month ago. So there were only few job offers which I have seen. And out of all of them, most of them were between like, you could say 5 to 7 LPA. Which was, of course, like staying in this field by now, all of us do know that this is like what you get post masters, also, unfortunately. But yeah, most of them are in that range, and I haven't, till now at least, I haven't seen something more than that. Maybe in the future it would be.
Hmm. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. So apart from placements, how is the
Mm.
research opportunity? Because from what we all know, Christ is very well known for its research, and they have an entire department of research and innovation. So what's the
Right.
usual like there?
Uh, Research, I would say it's great. Like it's absolutely great. So firstly talking about dissertation, in Amity dissertation, as much as I've myself experienced firsthand and heard from the master students there, it starts with the second year towards the end of your course and everything, and you're supposed to wrap it up in like quickly, like as quickly as possible, because you have very less time for
Yeah.
it. But the good thing in Christ, which I observed, is dissertation almost starts from the first semester. So basically, as soon as you join the course. So the first semester is, where you get allotted your supervisor, your research supervisors and everything, so that you can build rapport with them in the first semester and, come up, brainstorm, sit and brainstorm ideas with them for research and check for feasibility and things. So first semester goes in that. Second semester is devoted to complete making of research proposal with your supervisors and everything. And it's an individual dissertation. In Amity, I remember doing it in a group, but here it's an individual thing. So each research supervisor is allotted like maximum 7 to 8 students. From that particular course itself, from clinical psychology, and second semester goes in like making of research proposal and presenting it. So Christ also has an institutional review board of their own. So we present our proposal to them for the ethic clearance and the ethic number and all of that. So
Mhm.
this gets done in the second semester. Then once we break out for the first year break, which is our summer internship as well, where we're supposed to do like 100 hours of summer internship. Along with that, we're also asked to do data collection in our break time, so that when we are back, which is in the second year, the start, that is the third semester, we can focus on data, the further part of data collection, data cleaning, and data analysis. And by the end of third semester, we are asked to finish with our manuscript. We do not submit a thesis as such, but we submit a manuscript directly. And we're also asked to pick like few Scopus Index journals of our choices, which fits our scope of the study, and prepare manuscript according to that by third semester. And fourth semester is just where you focus on presenting your papers in conferences or sending it for publications. So, and there are marks for that. So this way, the research, the entire journey is spread out in all the 2 years, which
Yeah.
makes it easier somewhere for you to have enough time from planning of your topic to actually executing it into a manuscript, because there's a lot of work which comes over when you're doing it alone versus when you do it in a group. So this 2 years time does give you like a good space to finish your research and not just do a bad quality work or something. Apart from this compulsory dissertation researches, you can collab with your research supervisors or any any choice of a supervisor for that matter, and write papers with them. Or if they're already writing papers and they're looking for someone who can help them with data collection or interviews, especially qualitative interviews, transcription and all of that, they approach students, and you can get stipend for all of that. And there are like couple of labs in the research and innovation center that you mentioned. There's a complete block for research itself in Christ, where there are like multiple labs, behavioral decision labs, eye tracking, neuroimaging, all of those things. There are a lot of therapy rooms. Students can use that if it's a part of their research. We also have something called as pro bono sessions towards the end of your second year. So we can use those rooms to take those sessions. We also recently had the Asia Plat conference, which is like a South Asian conference Christ University holds at its center. So, students have their option of presenting their research papers. It could be their ongoing projects or their completed projects.
Mhm.
So, in terms of research, there's like great exposure. You can approach anyone without any hesitation, because they'll be ready to help you out. You can collab with professors, and of course, your ongoing manuscript, which is a compulsion. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So, when you said that at the end of the semester, every student has to look for a journal where they can publish them,
Right.
is this for every single student or those who are interested in the process of publication?
Okay, so this is for every single student. It is a compulsory. So it's like it's a paper itself in fourth semester, which is publication. So either you're supposed to publish your paper in a good Scopus Index journal, or you're supposed to present it at a conference. And based on you get marks for that. Basically, you clear that particular paper of publications based on whether you've either presented it in a conference or you have gotten it published, which is hard because publication takes time. So at least gotten an acceptance letter or a feedback from the journal as to you can improve this for the publications. So yeah, it's compulsory for every student. And we make our manuscript based on the journal of our choice itself to like save more time.
That is nice. That is actually very smart. I like how
Right.
spread properly, so you actually understand the process.
Yes, I actually learned how to do research right now. I do not know how I did my bachelor's research, and I'm just like, what did I do that time? Because now all of it makes so much more sense.
Mhm. So I know who I can come to.
Hopefully.
Okay, so apart from research, what does the course structure look like? So we know that you have exams semester-wise. So what are the subjects and how do you prepare for them and how does that work out?
Okay, so I'll start with telling what their course structure looks like. So we have core papers, lab papers, and few electives and all of that, common to all colleges. But the exam distribution is like a paper is like of 100 marks, and out of which 30 marks we have something called as CIA, which is we have two CIAs for each subject in one semester along with one exam. So basically, the first CIA is of 30 marks. It can be an assignment, it can be a class test, depends on the faculty, of course. And the second CIA is of 35 marks. So 30 plus 35. And the end semester is of 50 marks, which is brought down to 30 marks. So 30 plus 35 plus 30, which is like 95 marks, and 5% is for attendance. We have to maintain a minimum of 85% attendance, and the higher for each 5% more you have, you get marks out of that 5 marks. So if you have 95 and above, you get like full 5 marks. But if like goes lower, the marks also reduces.
Mhm.
So that makes up to like 100. We do not have a mid-sem as such. It's just two assignments and one end sem for each paper. And semester one, the paper, I really like the distribution of the subjects also across the years, because it went from like a flow, which also helped us in our dissertation. Because in the first year we had majorly theory papers. We had developmental psychology, ethics, professional ethics was itself a subject. And then we had two papers. One was quantitative research and one was qualitative research, which I really like, because we were learning both the research methods, the theory behind the research methods together. And first semester was also the semester where we were supposed to brainstorm our research ideas for manuscript. So, learning about both the things simultaneously made it easier for me to choose what I am comfortable with and where I see myself working at. Because I was learning both the courses, and then I could decide which one, in, which in which I am interested in. Like, so I went ahead with quant because I'm more comfortable with quant, but this also gave me a clarity as to what's there in qual and how to go about like a qual research. Apart from that, we have one compulsory course which is called community service. So in that, every week we have to go pick up a organization or a volunteering organization, mental health setup. It could be any place where we can go as volunteers and do any kind of service for them which suits their needs. So I had chosen a place in Bangalore itself, and every Wednesday we had few hours break to go to our community and provide service, and we had to complete a total of 25 hours within this entire semester for that community service paper. And that paper also had viva and assignments and everything.
Mhm.
So we had like course papers, that community service, and there's this paper called HOD, which is like basically life skills paper, which we are supposed to like clear to be eligible for giving our NSEMs. It's basically MCQs. We also had lectures for that once every week. So these were major subjects I had in SEM 1. Then SEM 2, it's research proposal was the subject. But apart from that, I had psychopathology. Um, I can't really remember my subjects. Bio. There was bio. So we had basic bio in SEM 1, advanced bio in SEM 2, cognitive psychology. We also had pathology in SEM 1. So in the course of SEM 1 and 2, we completed almost the entire DSM disorders. They were like distributed half and half in both the semesters. It was very taxing because we had to remember criteria for literally half the DSM disorders. But yeah, that time is over. I'm so happy. And currently, I have advanced social psychotherapy 1, which is basically individual psychotherapy, psychotherapy 2, which is group and family counseling. I have my research manuscript, and I have a internship. So this internship is basically of on campus internship, where we are supposed to do internship along with our college. So my college now gets over at 12:45 and I go for internship then and I come back by evening and we're supposed to complete like 100 hours within this entire semester for internship. So yes, this semester is very taxing because there's college going on, there's manuscript writing going on along with internship. And fourth semester is the best semester because there are no theory papers, there are no core papers. It's just two electives and manuscript presentations. And we have block internships. So that's why all the theory papers get completed by third semester. And fourth semester is pretty decent where you're just doing your block internship and presenting a paper here and there. So yeah, that's the basic structure of the course.
Wow, mera mind blown. I was like, oh my God,
Exactly. There is so much.
this is a lot. Not ready for
It's a
it.
lot. It's a lot.
But yeah, that's really nice. We know about the course structure. How is
Right.
the extracurricular activity like fairs and sports and all of that?
Okay, so there's like a running joke between our friends that every time so our block, the course that our block is in the central block. It's like right in the center of our campus. Our campus is basically like just like a long walk. It's just straight. There's no gully here and there, nothing. It's just like a straight road. And right in the center is where our block is for the course. And Aju Baju mein, there is always like some or the other fest going on of each course, of each department. They keep hosting something, and there are like always stalls put up. So every time we come out of our class, all done and dying to go back home, we just come out and we're like, "Hum college mein ya Church Street mein." So Church Street is basically like one mela type thing in Bangalore. It's like a street just for shopping, like Kolaba in Mumbai. So we're just like, "Kahan aa gaye?" Sometimes people end up buying groceries and keychains and decorative stuff for their flats and stuff from college, which is very funny. So fest and like it's just every day. It's every day. But apart from that, there are a lot of clubs like social activity club and psychometric club and all of that for psychology. There's
Psychometric.
also one club, yeah, where you it's called CAPS, where but again come with it's like a course, it's a credited club, so you join, you get extra credits for being in that club, but also if you don't complete the number of hours required, you will have backlog. So with every club there's also a lot of work and a lot of compulsions to be at, but apart from that, there's psychology association which holds like events just for psychology and like hosted by the psychology department. And there's like one full campus of fest, which is basically the ethnic day called Bhasha Utsav, which is going to happen like pretty soon, I guess, in 2 weeks. That's like one full college event, you could say.
Uh-huh.
But with all these events is one disadvantage that master students do not get a lot of opportunities to take part in it because we do not have time.
Mm.
It's open to all, but most, as much as I've seen throughout my journey, most of my classmates, or even me for that matter, we end up taking part in nothing. We probably observe things, we become audience, but we barely get the time. It's absolutely impossible to find time to like take part, practice, or host events and all of that. It's only when we really have to do we do all of that. But time is one major problem. But like bachelor kids here and there, it's very engaging. So I feel like it's a different life when you're in bachelor's and you're in a college, and it's a different life when you're in master's and you're in a college. And for that reason, I really miss Amity because we used to do like everything randomly. हम कभी class नहीं जाते थे. There used to be something or the other going on, and somehow we were a part of everything. But here it's like you're a part of nothing, even though there's so much going around you. It's like college khatam hota hai, and you just want to step out and leave the college as soon as possible. You do not want to be there. So participation wise, I would say it's poor, but the number of things they offer, it's great. It's like if you have time, you could take part in as many things as possible. It also depends on how well you balance the schedule. And even in psychology, I feel like clinical psychology, they have made it specifically even harder with lesser time. Like, for example, our course doesn't get, so other courses in psychology in the campus, they get 2 days off just to do their internship. So they do not have college on that particular day and they just have internship in the third semester. Whereas in clinical psychology, we do not have an off. We have to come to college on all 5, 6 days actually on Saturdays as well. and then go to our internships, which makes it harder for us to actually do something apart from academics. That's one drawback of being in clinical psych.
So just you, like just clinical psychology has to
Yes,
that.
yes, we do
But
not
the
have
entire
an.
college comes to college on Saturday also.
Yes, the entire college that we had in first year also. It's just a Christ thing that we have half day on every Saturday. But looking at the workload of the students from this year, they have made third Saturday off, which again it comes like once in a blue moon, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we do have Saturdays working.
Oh wow. New stuff
Yeah.
after Amity Saturday working.
I swear I have forgotten how it feels like to sleep.
So until like the COVID period, the it was mainly the entrance exam online and then the interview. But I think now
Right.
it's like you give your entrance, then you have to come to Bangalore, give an interview. There's also a written exam. So like, how did you prepare for your interview or your exam for that matter? And how was your experience in that sector?
Right. So fortunately, I would say in the batch or the year that is 2023 when I joined, for that year admissions it was still online. Just from 2024, things have become offline and people have started coming to campus to have their entire admission procedure. But even in my year, it was yeah, that
I
is
came this year.
you came. That's crazy. But yeah, for my year, it was online, fortunately, because it becomes much more easier when you are doing it from where you are, considering you're already enrolled in another course and everything. So it was online for me, and I gave my entrance and interview in 2023 March, but I started prepping for it. I wouldn't say prepping, but thinking about it from November when I realized that people are getting serious about what to do in future and what further plans. And I'm like, okay, I need to think about it too. Then I spoke to multiple people here and there, listed down colleges I would like to prepare for. And most of when I compared and calculated, I found that most of the colleges have very similar portions for their entrance. So I'm just like, I'll prepare one basic level for each college, and I'll be good to go. I took help from a couple of seniors also who are studying in Christ so that they could give me like first-hand experience and how better tips on how to get in. And then I started preparing like Jan and Feb were the 2 months of 2023. I was like completely prepping almost all evenings for the entrance test, a basic general psych and everything. And interview, yeah, I was giving like mock interviews with the senior who was helping me out. And then March was the first round which I applied for, and luckily I cleared that round only for the clinical psychology program. So and then to other colleges that I've applied to, because Christ has its entire admission process pretty early. You get your
Hmm.
results also within a week. So when I found out that I haven't been enrolled in this course, I'm just like, okay, I see no point in giving further exams for different other colleges. So I dropped them all and I just stuck to this. I'm like, because I also was in my final semester of my bachelor's and had to also focus on that. And there was entire dissertation going on. So I'm like, I will stick to Christ and focus on my bachelor's now. So my process went very easily, I would say. I was very tensed at that particular point, but looking back, I'm just like, it was like I was able to get what I want in like small amount of time. From Jan to March was the struggle, I would say, but after that, I was pretty relaxed because I knew I have something to go back to after I finished my bachelor's. So that stress went away from my head and I could completely focus on bachelor's. So that was one good point when I cleared my interview and entrance and preparation. I actually prepared pretty well for it, and also the people around me. I was living in hostel, and my friends and all of that. Majorly, all of those people were also preparing for the same thing. So it was like a very studious environment which was created, which maybe made it easier for me to have the motivation to come back from college every day at 4 or 5 in the evening and still study for entrances. So that environment, I think, would also really help me because all of us had the same goal at the end of the day, and it just made it easier for me to prepare further.
So were there any particular books or stuff you studied that you would suggest that whoever is preparing right now should go through?
Right. So the only book which I used was Barron. It was a general psychology book by Barron. That was one book I thoroughly read. I made points, highlighted everything, and I felt like that would like as much as
did not feel the need to refer different books for each subject, at least for master's level, because most of it gets covered in that general psych book. But
Hmm.
apart from that, I don't know if it's pronounced as Ciccarelli or Cicerelli, whatever. But I also referred that book
Me
for
too.
very here. Yeah, it's very confusing. But yeah, I referred those books for few concepts. I wouldn't say I covered the entire book, which is impossible considering it's a very hard book also and it has so much.
Hmm.
So a little of that book for some concepts which was not there in Baron. Studying part was lesser for me because I felt like I knew all of those things during my 3 years of bachelor's. It was more on the MCQs that I kept focusing on. I do not remember the name of the book. Probably I can give it to you later. It was one book which had so almost 1,000 plus MCQs. So, every day I used to at least solve 200 MCQs. Once I finished like Jan, probably I prepared. Feb,
Hmm.
I just made sure that every day, even if I'm not getting a chance to prepare, I just sit and solve MCQs because it's not like I knew all of them, but the ones I didn't know, and they were very repetitive because I was solving past year papers. So some questions were repeating. So at one point, it had become like my back memory, if I see the question, I just knew what the answer was without the options because I kept solving. So
Uh-huh.
that MCQ solving, I think, makes it, if you have like some basic understanding of psychology and you paid attention in your bachelor's, I think solving MCQs is one best tip to have to like clear any entrance because you save a lot of time when you actually sit for MCQs in entrance. Also, some questions, when you just see them in your entrance paper, you're like, oh, I solved this because there is like a pool. They will be choosing from that pool itself. So MCQ was the best. Buying MCQ books would be the best option. But like books, Barron and Ciccarelli probably would be the only thing needed. I tried Morgan and King, but I did not see any use of it. Most of my concepts got covered in that.
Hmm. Badhiya.
Hmm.
And what about interview? How did that go? Any tips for that for students watching the video?
Right. I actually enrolled for a couple of other courses also, apart from clinical psychology, to keep like backup options for myself. And I sat for all interviews for them as well.
I was taking mock interviews. I started with going to the Christ website and checking out basic stuff like goals, aim, mission, vision, all of that, so that I just have a brief understanding, the founder and everything, so that I could flatter them a little. But then also I went through the syllabus to know what subjects and all are there and what things they have to offer and whether it aligns with my things because what if just asked. Apart from that, I went through like basic disorders of DSM, like very common ones like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety disorders, and all of that, if asked. And of course, background information about me. I made like a very small script so that every time I'm asked to introduce myself, I just follow that script because I also sat for multiple interviews because I applied to multiple courses. But talking about my clinical psych interview, as much as I remember, it started with yeah, basic background information of what I'm doing and everything, my dissertation, my internship experiences, and then they asked me about a few disorders here and there, just like basic understanding. And there's something called as micro presentation, where you're given like a minute on spot and you have to speak on the topic they provide. My topic, I think, was the effect of patriarchy on men's mental health. And I completely zoned out for 10 seconds. I'm like, oh, damn, I have never thought of this. But yeah, I somehow managed to say something. But, I realized that content doesn't matter because if I see my interview, I was just like, what BS was I talking that time? But it was the way you speak and how honest you look. So it's basically just, do you have an intent to join or not, is all they care for. It's not even about your knowledge because we all come from like different colleges and the level of knowledge which we have will definitely vary. And I realized this when I came to masters. It was like the class of 60, but everybody stands at different places when it comes to base knowledge level. So you can't really compare that, but you can definitely compare an intent and an interest to do masters. So I think that was one thing you have to show on your face when you sit for an interview. So that.
Yeah, that is
Hmm.
interesting tips. Guys, please
Right.
take it down the intent.
Oh,
So, when it comes to studying for exams and stuff, I remember back in Amity, we would get like PPTs or some sort of a guide ki aise padna hai, nahi padna.
right.
How does that work out in Christ? How do you study? How the teachers helping you?
So in Amity, we knew we are getting for sure PPTs for everything, and I remember just studying PPT was enough. But here, absolutely not. A, because PPTs just have pointers, like probably subtopics in them,
Mhm.
and nothing else probably. So it's just like a head start for you, but everything is for textbook, and each subject has its own two, three textbooks. And Christ divides his textbooks based on recommended reading and compulsory reading. So compulsory reading is what you have to do if you have to clear an exam, because
Mhm.
everything is book related. There's PPTs are made, they're presented in class, and they're shared with class also, but it's just not enough. It's just like topics mentioned there.
Uh-huh.
So studying basically happens from textbooks, which is the compulsory textbooks.
Okay.
Recommended or preferred reading is for the ones who have finished the first level of textbooks and are looking for learning something more, or looking for more research-based learning, where those textbooks have more of research citations and all of that. So you can go through all of that, which I don't think anybody ends up doing because it's impossible. But yeah, if you genuinely want to, or for your assignments and stuff, those textbook help with assignments because there are a lot
Yeah.
of research citations and all of that. So you can use those textbooks for making your assignments. But for learning purposes, we stick to those compulsory reading, and it's majorly textbooks. And uh, college loves, if you can somehow present research citations or some evidence. So remembering one or two main research citations for a topic or something and writing them in exams will get you extra points for sure, because it's hard to remember citations and all of that. But if they see that there, it's like, yeah, you try to make an effort to study better than the rest. So major catch for them is research or like names of theorists and years and all of that, because major content anybody can write, but like backing it up with like previous literature, they love. So if you're preparing for an exam, the best thing could also be to not just go through textbooks, but like some research papers based on that topic, at least like for famous theories and all of that. So if by chance you remember some citation and you write it in your exam, you get extra points.
Wow. Guys, tips. Once you get it, please write citations.
Yeah.
One of my favorite questions to ask to everyone: what do you think is the pros and cons of Christ as an
Uh,
clinical psychology student? Yeah.
right. Pros, I would say the research part, it's great. Even if a person who does not have interest in research, which I did not in bachelor's, it's maybe because how my research ended towards the end in such a hurry that I was just like, is this how it's always done? And I'm like, then I don't like it. But coming here, I'm just like, wow, research can also be nice. You can also learn how to do research, and professors do have enough knowledge to even teach you stuff and how to do research and all of that, which was great. And they're always available, because in Amity, the only drawback which I felt was there were a lot of people under one supervisor. So the supervisor barely had time to give to each individual. But
Mhm.
here it's just seven of us under one supervisor,
Mhm.
and which makes it very easy for them, and we have one particular 2 hours every week as a meeting with our supervisor, which
Mhm.
makes it so much more easier for me to discuss my topic every week. And because I'm meeting her or him every week, I also have like a accountability to as to I have to finish my work, because I have to show some update every week. So I
Mhm.
think that research class itself being a subject and having hours for it makes it very easy for me to focus on my work and have a flow, because otherwise I will probably not end up touching my research for like 2 3 months straight and just doing it towards the end. But the every week meetings really help. Apart from that, the distribution of subjects throughout the 2 years, it's like aligned with your research. First you learn about quant and qual as to what it is. Second sem you learn like research statistics, because second sem right after that you have to do your data collection and analysis. So
Yeah.
because you learned all of that in second sem, it's so fresh that data collection analysis is like right after that. Then third sem, you have all theory papers and lab papers, so you're focusing on writing your manuscript and all of that. So that division of papers each semester is really aligned. And it's also very aligned to MPhil and UGC Net Prep, which I really love because this way I have all the subjects I need to prepare for those two exams. So I do not need to study something new. All I need to do is go back and revise my Christ notes itself, probably in a more objective way, so that I can answer MCQs. These are like some pros. But cons, one would be burnout for sure. That's like a big con. And if you're not ready for that, it's very difficult because there are people who haven't slept in days and stuff. There's so much work to do.
Hmm.
At one point, you're just like, is it even worth doing all of this? Sometimes you start having those self-worth doubts and all. Ki, am I doing so much? I hope it's all worth it, kind of thing. And burnout. So as I said, when I joined, I was like, yeah, I want to do MPhil, I want to do PhD. But by second year, I'm just like, I do not know what I want to do because I'm very burnt out to start something new in my life. So
Hmm.
that factor of burnout.
Hmm.
Second, I would also say competition. It makes you, at some point, it does make you vulnerable because at in that everybody is at your level. There's nobody who is below you. Everybody is equal to you, or probably more than you, but nobody is below you for sure.
Hmm.
Everybody is at the same level of mastery and competency. So you have to beat all of them if you have to stand out in the crowd because teachers, the supervisors pick students for their collabs and everything based on their academic performance, attendance, and their research interests. So you have to really stand out from the crowd to like show yourself as the best. So that teachers pick you for extra projects and all of that, because of which there's so much competition, and at one point it can also turn toxic. You're just like, are you even being your genuine self, or are you just presenting the best fake version of yourself to get somewhere? These are like the major two drawbacks, at least I faced. But and also because I was a day scholar, managing that home environment with my college environment. Yeah,
We have heard a lot about the uniform aspect of
right.
Christ. Is it that serious? Like you have to dress a certain way or there are consequences?
Consequences as such, nothing. It's just that you have to go back home and change, which of what else can you do? But it isn't as strict as much as I had also heard. You are allowed to wear Indian or Western formals, but because you are wearing that, nothing sleeveless or nothing, cuts and all of very decent, like a basic, decent, appropriate dressing is required. And things like you can't wear like clothes fitting clothes or like leggings and all of that. At least for our campus, it's not there. We are allowed to wear those short kurtas, everything. All of those things is allowed as long as it's not sleeveless or inappropriate. And if there is something like that, you will be sent back home from the gate. So every time you're entering, they're like security guards standing and they look at you while you're entering. And if it's all okay, you can just enter. But if they see like something is off, they will like stop you and ask you to change and come back, all of that. But that barely happens because most of them end up dressing appropriately. It's the ID card, which is a headache, which you have to wear throughout your day when you're there. And if any point someone sees you without that, they'll stop you and be like, where's your ID card? And even while you enter the gate, you're supposed to have your ID card. Otherwise, you're not allowed to enter. And you have to go get your ID card from wherever. And you have like strikes. So every time you forget your ID card and you have to enter, you have to show your Christ portal to show the legitimacy that you are a student, and then you get strikes that this student has missed their ID card once, twice, and all of that. All that is a little unnecessary because, of course, it's okay to leave an ID card. Sometimes you can't always remember to wear it and stuff. So that's the extra part. But at least, as much as I've heard, for my campus, rules are pretty flexible. When I speak to my friend who is in the Yashwantpur campus, they have like very strict rules related to dressing also. They cannot wear anything tight fitting, it's all loose fitting. They have very, stringent checking at the door, which we do not. Maybe because our campus is much more huger with a lot of students. So it's not feasible for them to check out every student and stop them for everything. So it's maybe the crowd which makes it flexible for us to be a little more open than the other campuses.
Yeah, that makes sense to a certain extent.
Right. I'm happy for that.
What is that one message you would give to any student watching this?
For Christ or in general?
General, whoever is watching this, like, what is that one thing you would say to a student?
I would say that whatever plans you make, it can change like this when you join something new. So do not be stuck on, I want to do this, I want to do that, I do not want to do this. You never know how your interests change in just a matter of few months. So I would say probably go with the flow, because I realized this much later in my life that going with the flow is so much more convenient than actually having a blueprint in your head and following that, because then you feel disappointed when you do not go according to that blueprint, which is actually not possible considering speaking specifically to psychology, the changes that is going on by RCI and everything. It's so uncertain that it's best to not have a plan. The best is to literally not have a plan. That's one message, is to not have a plan and go ahead with the flow.
Also, like, very
It
funny to know
absolutely
that
is.
there is so much exposure available. So, like, yeah, man.
Yeah, it is
Mixed
literally like
emotion.
two sides of the coin.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. I think
Mhm.
it was really insightful and fun to talk to you. Like, I'm sure everyone has gotten a better insight, whoever is watching this. And guys, if you have any more questions, don't forget to comment it down below. I or Kritika, whoever is free or available, would try to help you at our best. And yeah, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share,
Yeah.
subscribe, and follow us for more.